Legal to kill.
We are back on MorningLine. Thanks for joining us. Nick Beres, along with Allison Fields. Okay, you were saying what's illegal to kill?
Stone crabs.
Yeah, she's going to go crabbing later next week, you lucky duck, down in the Gulf. But stone crabs, yeah, so what you can do is you throw some of those back in.
Well, if you catch one, you take off one of their claws and you throw them back in.
Yeah,
you can only remove one.
And then the claw regenerates.
It grows back.
That's what's so amazing.
It's a great renewable resource.
That's fun.
Stone crab, pull off a claw, throw it back. Next year you catch the same crab, pull off a claw,
keep them going, and the crab survives. All right. Hey, listen, the number 737-7587 if you want to jump in. Questions about your pets. Let's go next to Robert. Hi, Robert. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Nick.
What's going on?
I have a quick question for you. Hey, I was wanting to ask the vet about, I got a Jack Russell. I was wondering what the best kind of flea it takes stuff to put on him.
Okay, we got a lot of flea.
Right?
It's good they're asking because this is the what do you? By the way, what do you use right now, Robert? I'm just curious.
I've been using that at the Walmart, that cheaper stuff, you know, whatever.
How's that working for you?
Well, it's okay, but he needs something better, and he's just real active. That's my best friend, by the way.
Oh yeah, they're great dogs.
Well, I will say.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I love him to death, and he's just wow. I've had him vaccinated and all that kind of stuff, and I was just wondering what the best thing would be to put on the fella.
Okay, all right, listen in. We hit on that earlier, and there's some great options.
So I would always recommend using, if you're going to use a topical, use the Frontline or Advantix, which you can get over the counter now. The knockoffs, and from what I've been told, don't seem to be working for as long or quite as well.
Okay. But Frontline
take a look.
or Advantix?
Those are the topicals.
Okay, I want to write that down. Frontline
or Advantix.
Advantix.
Not Advantage, Advantix.
Advantix. And they're again,
those
topical.
are the topicals.
Okay.
And then there's a collar called Seresto. And then there are two oral medications that you can get now, either Brevecto or NexGard, that are oral. One of them lasts for 3 months, one of them lasts for 1 month. Both of those work really well as well. Those you'll need to get from your vet. They're not over the counter. The Seresto collars, I think you can get like at PetSmart and Petco and places like that, as well as your vet. But the NexGard and the Brevecto, I think, are only at your vet.
Only at the vet. Does that help?
Excuse me,
Yeah.
by the way, we rescued him too, and he's the best thing we ever got.
That's awesome.
Good job.
for you. Rescue dogs are fantastic, and he's your buddy
yes,
now.
Sir. Yes, sir. They sure are. And I tell you what, I'd get another or two in a minute.
Yeah.
You know, because they're lovable, and people don't take advantage of that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
all dogs, you know, I love, but you know what? You get the rescue dog, like I said, and I'm sure his dog's same way. They just are extra thankful, it
They
seems
are.
like.
They
They're not
seem to
stupid
realize
animals.
that
They know they've got a good gig now.
Yeah.
After what they've been through.
Right.
They're really, okay, and we talk about puppy mills or the dogs. I mean, if you go to buy a dog, obviously you want a specific breed or you want something more, you know, that you're not going to be able to find at a shelter. You have to go to a breeder, right? I mean, how does it, there are breeders out there. You know, there's places that sell pets, like at Petco and places like that get, where do places like that get their animals? From breeders?
Yeah.
Okay. And there's a place for breeders. I mean, there's people that, you know, want a specific type of dog.
There's a place for responsible breeding.
Yes.
And there's not a place for puppy mills.
Okay, so if you would define for me the difference in your mind of what responsible breeding is, and when things, I think we all kind of know what a puppy mill is, but what's the big difference? Where does the line cross where they go from responsible to sometimes puppy mills? And I know it all has to do with dollars.
Well, in my world,
Money.
it doesn't have to do with dollars.
No,
in my
the
world, it has to
breeders.
do with, yes, it has to do with the care. You know, a responsible breeder is a breeder who has maybe 2 or 3 breeding pairs.
Okay.
You know, maybe 4, but they're all well cared for. They all get regular veterinary care. They're not just breeding willy-nilly. They're paying attention to the genetics. You know, if they're large breed dogs, they've had their hips certified. You know, if they're collies, they've had their eyes surfed. You know, all of these genetic diseases that can be transmitted down generation to generation, a responsible breeder is going to be trying to breed that out of the line, like Cavalier King Charles Spaniels. When I was in vet school, every Cavalier King Charles Spaniel that anybody saw anywhere had a heart murmur. They had horrible hearts. Now I'm seeing Cavaliers that don't ever get a heart murmur it's 20 years later, which is really impressive because the Breeders Association with the Cavalier King Charles Spaniels are really trying to work this out.
Yes.
And so that's responsible breeding, is to pay attention to the breed, its problems, how can we make them not happen. Mashed Potato, she's a 3-legged dog with horrible dental disease. She shouldn't have been, why are you breeding her? You just want money.
Yeah.
We're just breeding these dogs over and over again so we can sell the puppies. So when you're going to buy a puppy from someone, one thing to pay attention to is, are they going to let you come see where the puppies have been? If they're not, I'll meet you at the Walmart at exit 4. Probably not a great thing. And usually they, people will say, well, I just live too far away. It's too hard to find my house. But if you can't go see where they are, this might be a red flag that it may be not. Now, it may not be. It may be that, her kid's having her 4th birthday there and she can't, there's too much going on. Whatever. But those are just kind of things to pay attention to. I think there are some very responsible breeders out there, because without them, we wouldn't have things like bulldogs. I mean, bulldogs would have gone extinct a while ago if we didn't have breeders for bulldogs. So there is definitely a place for them. And I think that there's a vast majority of them out there are very good and responsible. It's just the bad eggs that, ruin the whole batch.
And we see that, and it makes headlines when it happens.
Right. Well, it doesn't ever make, you guys don't report good stuff. You always report the tragic stuff.
Yeah,
so that's all.
Well, yeah. It's fortunately, it makes news because it is hopefully the exception to the rule, and, the good stuff. Let's go to Joanna. Hi, Joanna.
Hi.
Good morning. How can we help you?
Okay, I have a Shih Tzu, and he constantly gets warts, and I've had some removed, and I noticed that some of them are coming back. Now, the ones on his paw, he generally irritates by licking them, and I'd like to know if there's something I can do to prevent this.
How old is he?
He's about 8.
Okay. Dogs get something that I call old dog warts. At 8, that's a little young for old dog warts. And a lot of dogs don't necessarily have them on their feet. I guess it would be interesting to know if you've had those removed, have they done pathology on them to see exactly what they are?
Yeah, did the vet remove them and tell you what they were? Was it clearly a wart or maybe some other type of growth?
To the lab?
Now, I was told that was something common to Shih Tzus, and they generally fall off. And the ones that we generally have problems with are the ones on the paw, and I think they itch. And so what I do is put the Benadryl cream on it at night. And then we also give him a medication that cuts the itching down. But I have not asked for a pathological report because I was told they were warts.
Okay. Well, and they may be. I mean, I haven't seen them. So there are some things that I can look at and be like, oh, this is what it is. There are some things I can't. So it's really hard to say without seeing them. There's really not a whole lot you can do to prevent that. Which is, if they're just warts, there's not. But I might talk to your vet about if they did get a pathology, if you'd get another one taken off, and see if there is something that way. Getting a histopathology is very important sometimes because it tells us exactly what it is and what its likelihood of recurrence is and things like that. So that may be helpful. It may not. It may be a wart and your dog just has warts and we can't really do anything about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, thank you for your call. I had not heard of that. I assume dogs could get warts, but that's interesting. Now, warts typically in humans, they're viral based, aren't they?
We just call them they're not warts.
Oh, they're not warts. They're like bumps.
They look like a wart. They're kind of a little cauliflowery wart-like lesion, and they're just an overgrowth of. We call them warts because it's easier to say that to people in lay terms than overgrowth of. Exos,
of skin, yeah.
Right.
So, but it could be any number of things, maybe. I mean, some dogs are just going to be more prone to that one way or the other, something along those lines.
Right.
Wow. What's the weirdest condition you've seen in a dog? I mean, unusual, something that's rare that is not seen very often. Do you see?
We saw 2 last month. We saw a case of tetanus. Tetanus in a dog, which I had never seen. My boss had never seen. One of the other vets I work with had seen one case. Dogs don't get tetanus.
How did it present?
I mean, they do.
How did it present?
It present like this.
Why is it? Oh.
Because all of their muscles get all tight, and I mean, literally, it was a boxer with a big droopy jowl, and she looked like, she's great now. But we don't vaccinate dogs for tetanus. Horses get vaccinated for tetanus because horses are I guess, are much more likely to get tetanus.
Well, you humans get tetanus. Maybe you need a tetanus shot if you step on a nail.
Yeah, or like every 10 years or so, you're supposed to get a tetanus shot.
Booster, right.
But dogs, we don't vaccinate dogs for tetanus because it's so rare. But yeah, this dog had tetanus.
But treatable. You were able to treat it.
Well, you just have to kind of support the dog until it all wears off. So what happens is tetanus comes in and binds to a neurologic receptor, which then makes, you're like this. And so you can give medication to get any loose circulating of these guys in the blood and make them go away. But these guys that are already attached, you just have to wait until they.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I saw that, and then I saw a little dog with a portosystemic shunt, which is where the puppy is born with. I can explain this. Instead of the blood all going into the liver, which our liver filters every bit of your blood goes through your liver. So there's the vena cava, all the blood kind of dumps into it. So what happens is there's a bypass, and for some reason there's a little vessel that is bypassing the liver, and so this blood is not getting filtered. So a lot of the stuff that's supposed to be grabbed out and chucked isn't getting.
So you're getting blood poisoning then. You're poisoning in a way.
Kind of, sort of.
There's a toxicity that can build up if you don't.
Yes.
What the heck? That's a birth defect? Why would something like that? There's no reason for there to be that other vein going across that bypasses the liver, is there?
Embryologically. And so it just didn't correct itself.
So you guys just went in there, cut that thing off?
Oh, no. I don't do that. That would go to a specialist.
But you could do it if you're on a desert island and there was no other option.
Or I could just eat the dog. Just kidding.
Well, is the dog okay?
The dog's doing great. I'm managing her medically. So she's on medicines and special food, and she'll be like that for the rest of her life. There are some good studies. You can surgically go in and clamp that off. It's just a lot of times it's not one vessel. It's like a whole pathway of them.
That's interesting.
And so you can't get them all. Because they're all in the middle of the liver and stuff like that.
And it's the liver that does a lot of the filtering. Now, the kidneys do that as well, don't they? Kidneys do.
Absolutely.
So could she go through a type of dialysis? Or are there dogs that go through dialysis if they have kidney failure? Yeah,
No.
It's nothing like that for dogs.
No.
Could be done, couldn't it?
Yes, just the cost is.
Cost is so much.
Yeah, in veterinary medicine, we can only do what people will pay for.
When we talk about cost, we have to go to a break. We've got more calls. I apologize. We should have taken a few there. But I wanted to ask you about veterinary health insurance, for your pets too, because the friend who's looking at a $1,500 bill right now, just out of the blue, and he's going to pay it for his pet. But I wonder how insurance works, and we'll take a break on that. And we'll take more of your calls. If you're on hold there, Lisa and the others, we'll get to you as soon as we come back. Stay with us.